think there's so many people who are just going to work, but not enjoying what they're doing. I think there's so much value in loving what you actually do. It will make it easier. It would make life easier. So just do what you love.
Nice. Do you feel like you're doing what you love? Hey, and welcome back to Pathways, the podcast where we talk with West Indians who are out here at home or in the diaspora, making work for them. These are the folks who are out there charting their own paths, figuring things out in a non-traditional field or just in an uncommon way. If you're looking for some inspiration on where to take things in your own career, or you just like hearing about what others are doing and how they've gotten to where they are, then stick around. You can be a fly on the wall of my conversation with them. And maybe you'll take something away to use in your own lives. When you're done, leave a comment and let us know what you liked or what you want to hear more of. And now, let's get into the episode. Today's guest hails from the island of Antigua, where she was born and raised. Thea Davis earned her master's degree and her Bachelor of Science in Chemical Engineering from Illinois Institute of Technology in Chicago, Illinois. She later joined the application engineering team at Aqua-Aerobic Systems in January of 2019. Prior to her employment with Aqua-Aerobic, she had the opportunity to be a Water Innovation Research Intern with Current Innovation in the fall of 2018 in Chicago. Currently, she's a project application engineer at Aqua-Aerobic Systems and is responsible for managing and approving wastewater process designs or design modifications. Let's get into the discussion with Thea Davis. Thea,
Hello.
Welcome
Hi.
to Pathways.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Those who know will know, but I'm very happy to have you here. I'm very honored that you accepted. All right. So what I usually do is I get started just giving people an overview of, who you are. And so we're going to start with a simple question. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Antigua, beautiful Caribbean island.
Nice. And growing up, do you remember if there was anything that you wanted to be in particular?
Yeah, actually, I think just thinking back, I think the first thing I wanted to do was to be an accountant.
Okay.
We know what happened with that dream.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then was there anything that you think might have been expected of you, like from family, from people around you?
Not necessarily. I think my family is very open and understanding, and they really just wanted me to do something that I love doing.
Okay. Now, what was your first ever job, or like the first thing that you did for money?
Probably maybe summer or Christmas job at the pharmacy that my mother works at.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your current job or profession, what is your title right now?
Oh, so my actual job title is project application engineer, but I guess that doesn't really explain what I do. So my degree is in chemical engineering, but if I had to say what I actually do, I would say like a wastewater process engineer.
Okay. All right. And we're going to get deeper into that later on in the episode. So tell us, when did you first, you wanted to be an accountant back in the day. I didn't know that. What was the point where you kind of figured out that chemical engineering was the path you wanted to take?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it happened suddenly. It probably happened over time. So, about the time when you get to like third form, fourth form, you start to choose the subjects that you want to do. I think up until that point, I still wanted to be an accountant. But then I developed a love for science. And the way how our school worked, like physics and principles of accounts was at the same time. So I had to choose one and I ended up choosing physics. And I think that's where the switch happened. I still actually did accounting on the side, but my main focus was definitely sciences. Then the time came to apply for college. Well, I guess I skipped a lot. So you have secondary school, then A levels, and then, the time came to apply for college. And by then, out of all the sciences, I think I realized I liked chemistry the most. I still loved maths and problem solving. I probably just did a good Google search to figure out what was a good career for someone who liked chemistry and mathematics and problem solving. And that's how I discovered chemical engineering.
Okay. And then did you go on to not secondary school, but community college in Antigua?
Yeah, so I went to Antigua State College, which is a 2-year college where I did A levels.
Okay, and what did you do there?
I did chemistry, biology, physics, pure maths, and applied maths.
Okay, a few. Okay. All right. So then at that point, was your next step always to go on to further education outside of Antigua? What was the plan?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even before then, even at the end of secondary school, I knew that I wanted to get a bachelor's degree. Like many people in the Caribbean, we graduate secondary school a little bit before 18. So I think I was 16. So I knew it was probably too soon for me to go away. At the time, Antigua didn't have any, 4-year colleges to get a bachelor's degree. We do now. So I knew that I had to go elsewhere. But I believe that, going to Antigua State College and doing A levels, for those 2 years was a good stepping stone before going away.
Okay. And then, so at this point, you knew that chemical engineering is what you wanted to do, right?
Right.
Okay. So then how did you go about finding the school that you would then go on to?
Yeah, I think this is an interesting story every time I tell people. So okay. I wouldn't say that I found the school. I would say that the school found me. There's a person who worked at Illinois Tech, Dr. Patton. At the time, I felt like her job was to go to different Caribbean islands, recruiting people. I think it started with some students from St. Lucia, and the program seemed to work very well. So they expanded and flew to different Caribbean islands. So I remember one day we were at Antigua State College and she came in, she presented on the school. She helped us with the application, and they offered pretty good scholarships as well. So it ended up being a very good opportunity.
Okay, so you didn't even look for anything else. You were just kind of like, this is it.
Oh, I did. I looked for other schools. I applied to other schools. I can't even remember which ones right now. I think I looked at Howard University, University of Florida, and a couple others as well.
Okay. But all in all, IIT made the most sense.
Correct.
All right. So once you got to university, I don't think I ever saw you break a sweat in college, to be honest. But was there anything about the program that kind of caught you off guard or you didn't expect?
I mean, I wouldn't say that there was something that caught me off guard or I didn't necessarily expect. I mean, it is bachelor's degree in engineering. There will definitely be challenges. You may think I didn't break a sweat. Maybe I just did a good job at hiding it, but there were difficult classes, fluid mechanics to be specific. That was one class that almost made me change my mind about engineering, honestly. But, I didn't realize that I wasn't the only one struggling. Apparently, maybe I was struggling the least, but we were all struggling.
Yeah.
But it ended up working out, and I'm glad I didn't give up.
Okay, nice. All right. So bachelor's degree, which was, you finished it in 3 years, was it?
Yes.
And was that the actual length of the program, or did you have credits that transferred?
Yeah, so it was a 4-year program, but because I went to Antigua State College, I got credits that transferred. So for engineering, you do probably about 130 or so credits. I think I got, if I remember the number correctly, like 87 credits transferred,
What?
which is more than 2 years.
Yeah.
Now, although I got 87 transferred, only maybe just over 30 actually applied to the degree. So I still had to do 3 years. And because of those extra credits, I didn't want them to go to waste. I actually went to the, I don't know the name of the department where they, put the programs together and decide what's necessary for a degree. And I asked like what I could do with all these extra credits. The first option they said was a minor in biology. I said, no, thank you. They said the next option was a minor in applied mathematics, which I thought was perfect because I still liked mathematics. And I think I just had to do one extra class and I was able to get a minor.
Okay, nice. I don't think I even knew that. Cool. All right. So you finish your degree in 3 years and then, you're looking for a job. So first, was it always the plan to stay in the US and, find a job and all of that?
Yeah, I think that was the initial plan. Unfortunately, there aren't very many like chemical engineering opportunities in Antigua. I did look for some, and there were one or two opportunities here and there, but maybe they weren't looking to hire at that particular time. So my main focus was to look for a position in the US.
Okay. So describe for us that process. I know it wasn't like straightforward for you necessarily, but walk us through what that looked like for you.
Yeah. So as an international student, getting a job is not always easy. I mean, for one, there's a bit of paperwork and an application to get a work permit to begin with. As someone with a STEM degree, you can work in the US for up to 3 years. So it's 1 year and then a 2-year extension while, still being on a student visa. And I had been looking for internships and jobs, since since I started. We went to a bunch of different career fairs for different engineering organizations. The school puts on a career fair. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to secure a job before I graduated.
Okay.
So,
yeah. Go ahead. What was the next step?
Yeah, so I mean, I had to look for alternatives. Eventually, I went back to Antigua. I worked for a couple months at West Indies Oil Company as an engineering intern there. And during that time, I applied to do a master's degree so that I could come back to the US and then hopefully get another opportunity, another 3 years to work after getting that degree.
Okay. So that was, just to give a little bit of a timeline, you went back to Antigua, like what month of the year about?
Oh, I don't really remember. It was 2016 to 2017. That was really a blur.
Okay, but basically like within the same, you would have applied to get into the master's program for like that
for the next
term.
Year. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. And then, so that was successful and you did go back. How long did it take for you to get a master's degree?
Yeah, I did my master's in a year and a half.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. And so second time around, looking for a job, how did that go?
Yeah, all of a sudden, a bunch of job opportunities just started showing up. I got a lot of interviews, but I actually got an internship during my last semester, which was very helpful. And even while I was there, I interviewed for the position that I currently have now, or at least the company that I work for now. And that internship and the company that I work for now are in the same industry. So I feel like I was meant to end up in in wastewater treatment.
Yeah. Okay. So now let's talk about what it is that you actually do. So process application engineer, what does that mean?
Yeah, so as a project application engineer, I am responsible for reviewing and approving process designs that our application engineers do, and then also, just managing projects from the preliminary design concept stage all the way through until a customer, a municipality is ready to purchase equipment from us. So I oversee, preparing like drawings and specifications for the process and the equipment that we are supplying, doing bids, putting together bid and proposal packages, and then just securing purchase orders from our clients.
Okay. And so you said municipalities. So these clients are like cities on a large scale.
Yeah, for the most part. So our company does mostly municipal work, but we also have industrial clients as well. And that could be literally any company that there is. Anywhere that there is wastewater, well, we could definitely treat it. But as you can imagine, most wastewater is from municipalities, so cities, towns, just the smallest boroughs and townships.
Okay.
And we do work across the US, but also all over the world.
Nice. Okay, so wastewater treatment. What does that entail? How are you treating the wastewater?
Yeah. So, in a nutshell, we're taking the sewage water that you flush down the toilet, and we're making it clean enough that they can discharge it into rivers and lakes. So there are very many wastewater treatment processes that exist. The type of process depends on how large the plant is, how dirty the water is, how clean you need to get it, and just a bunch of other smaller factors. So I don't know, without getting too technical, I mean, there are like primary, secondary, tertiary treatment steps. And, you just put the wastewater through a series of treatment steps. I think the final is usually disinfection, and then we can discharge it to a river or a lake.
Okay. But just to clarify, this is not making drinkable water. It's just making it clean enough to go into the systems?
Correct. So that's a wastewater treatment plant. Then the water treatment plant would take the water from the rivers and lakes and then turn it into drinking water.
Oh, okay. So full cycle.
Yeah. So some municipalities do have water treatment plants as well, as well as their wastewater treatment. But most of them do just wastewater treatment.
Keep listening. We'll be right back after a short break. You might be wondering how we find the guests who make it on the show. A lot of it is through my own network and the network of the team and our friends and acquaintances. Sometimes I'll hear about someone in a non-traditional field and reach out to see if they'd be willing to join as a guest. Other times, I'll specifically go looking for someone in an industry that I don't think gets much spotlight, and I'll just cold email them. But my favorite way to find guests is when you, the listeners, make suggestions. You can do that by sending a direct message to any of our social media pages, or more formally, by going to our Cutly short link at cut.ly/pathwaysguest. That's CUTT.ly/pathwaysguest. Now, you can suggest yourself or someone who you think would be a great fit for the show. They don't have to be in one of the STEAM fields, but it's preferred if they're doing something that's a little less traditional or just not very talked about. A great litmus test to know if someone will be a fit is if you're a follower of Pathways and you would like to hear this person's story on the podcast. Our listeners know best. So send us a note at cutt.ly/pathways guest. And you might just hear from the person you suggested on an upcoming episode. And we're right back to the conversation. Well, now I'm curious because for like some of these cities and stuff is the main. So I'm thinking like, in the Caribbean, most of us, we have like rivers and mountains and stuff and springs where our water comes from. But in cities like that, which might not really have like a body of water close by, is like, what is the main source of drinking water, if you know?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not quite sure because our company mainly does wastewater treatment. We don't do too much on the water treatment side, but I mean, they must have a way to truck or to deliver the water to the city. But I mean, there aren't very many cities that don't have some source of water nearby, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting. Okay. So I'm not sure if you're familiar or how familiar you are with like how wastewater is treated in Antigua. But like, do you know of any key differences between the approach that you would take where you are and how it's done in Antigua?
Well, for one, there is wastewater treatment here, and Antigua does not have any centralized wastewater treatment.
Oh.
The only companies that I know of that treat their wastewater in Antigua are hotels. I think they may be required to, but the country as a whole does not. We still have septic tanks, so the heavier solids settle, and then what we call the supernatant at the top would usually just, go into like a soak away or go into your backyard. And then the sewage truck would come ever so often and pull the sewage out. But yeah, there's no wastewater treatment in Antigua in general.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just like learning new things. Okay. So along the way, like you've had these different steps kind of in your career from bachelor's to master's and then actually into industry, I guess. Have you had any mentors or like people who have helped you in any sense along the way?
Yeah, and that's one thing that honestly I realized maybe about 3 or 4 months ago, that I didn't really have any like dedicated mentors along the way. And I realized how much of a need I had for a mentor at that time. There was definitely, the support of my family. But yeah, I can't say that I had a dedicated mentor.
Yeah.
And I didn't notice until very recently. I was in a situation at work where, just ready to take the next step, and a lot of different opportunities opened up at work. And I had no idea, which way I wanted to turn. And, that's when I realized, like, who am I going to ask? Who am I going to talk to? Who do I think would give the best advice? And that's really when I started, looking for people that I could have these types of conversations with.
Interesting. Successful so far?
Yeah. I found some really good ones.
Okay.
I realized it's good to have a variety of mentors. One at the company, I think, is good because that person would know exactly how the company works and the ins and outs, and would see how I perform at work, but then also having an external mentor who knows probably nothing about the job and will be able to offer like unbiased opinions as well.
Okay. So because I feel like I get this question a lot, like, how did you actually go about finding these mentors?
Yeah. So I mean, some mentors just happen naturally. Maybe, over time you realize that there's just, somebody that you end up speaking with regularly. Another mentor, we were just talking, and he was saying that he had a mentor, and the conversation just came up. And then I told him, yeah, I'm in this particular situation at work. And he said, what? Let's go talk right now. And that's how he became a mentor. And then another one, just, sitting down, thinking of, who I thought would be a good person to talk to, someone who had been in the industry for a long while and just really knows what he's doing. And I've seen him mentor other people as well. And I just, pinpointed him as someone that I thought could be a good mentor to me as well.
Okay, nice. So when you need it, you'll find it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned that one time when you were in university and the fluids nearly took you out, fluid mechanics. But was there any point, maybe that was it, was there any other point where you kind of questioned your past, questioned your decision so far in your career?
Yeah, I don't know if there's like a specific moment, but I think over time I still realize my love for mathematics, and I always wondered if I should have been doing that instead of chemical engineering.
Yeah.
I think by the time I started thinking about that, it was probably too late. Not that it's ever too late, but I was going into my last year, and by then I figured I would just, finish up with what I was doing. But yeah, I think that was the only other thing that I was questioning, if chemical engineering was what I should have been doing instead of mathematics.
Yeah. Also, because you mentioned like way back that you liked chemistry and that's kind of why you went into chemical engineering. But I've heard a lot of people saying that chemical engineering is not really chemistry.
Right. I didn't know that. It's far more, there's a lot of maths involved, thankfully, and a lot more problem solving. I don't know if I even did chemistry at IIT. I think the chemistry classes that I did at Antigua State College transferred, and that was it. Most of my remaining classes were just chemical engineering classes.
Yeah.
So yes, it is very different from chemistry. The basics, but then after that, it is engineering.
Okay. So the math and more physics and problem solving, like you said.
Yes.
Good to know. All right. Was there at any point something that maybe felt like a failure at the time, but kind of turned out to be for the best or to like teach you a valuable lesson?
Yeah, and I think we hit on it. The failure seemed to be just when I couldn't get a job. I was just trying to figure out what I was doing wrong. I thought I was, doing well in school. I had extracurricular activities. I thought I was doing all the right things, going to different conferences, going to different types of career fairs and networking events, but still couldn't secure any job opportunities. So that was the time where that felt like a failure moment. But in the end, maybe if I got a job, I wouldn't have gone back to school and gotten my master's degree. So that was a blessing there. And then maybe I was supposed to end up in wastewater treatment. And if I got a job at that time, that wouldn't have happened. So I think everything just happens in due time.
Yeah. Nice. Do you have an idea or like a vision or a plan for what the next 5 to 10 years of your career might look like?
Yeah. I think right now it is a turning point for me. I am looking for the next step, the next opportunity. So I started as an application engineer, and then about a year and a half in, I got promoted to a project application engineer. And not that there's a typical path that everyone takes, but there are some trends, and I think I've been in this position long enough where I'm ready to take the next step. Not that you could ever learn everything there is to know in any position, but yeah, I think I'm ready. So I think definitely within the next 5 years, I will hopefully, take on that position and then just grow my knowledge in that next position.
Okay. Very nice. I feel like maybe we already touched on this, but maybe there's something else that you haven't shared yet. So, is there anything that you have changed in the past 6 months to a year that you feel like has had a positive influence on your life in general? So it could be career or just, regular life. And
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it could be like, like an investment, a purchase, like a book that you read, a habit you picked up or that you dropped, whatever the case may be.
I mean, I was going to touch on a book. So growing up, I loved books. I always read books every day. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what happened. At some point that practice fell off. So yeah, probably towards the beginning of this year, I decided that I wanted to start, reading again. I think that came about because, I realized that I was pretty settled. I would come home from work and most of my time, I think I just spent relaxing, and I wanted to find something else to do with my time. And I thought that picking up reading would be a pretty good idea. And I tried to be intentional about it, not just picking up random books, but maybe something that could help. So I thought of a particular part of my life that could use some help. I decided maybe I could use some help with, how I interact with people. I think that's an area where there could be improvement. So, I started reading books about just human interaction and different types of people, how different people communicate and how you can best communicate with different types of people. And I think that has been very helpful.
Right. So implementing some of the things that you're reading about?
Yes. The first one I read, I didn't even realize that it was actually geared towards the workplace. Oh. I honestly didn't even realize it until like halfway through the book when the author said that. I know this is geared towards the workplace, but you can apply this in your regular life too. I was like, what? Okay. So yeah, just I think while reading, you identify, just think about different people that fall into certain categories, and things started making sense. And, why people acted or, spoke the way they did. And definitely made it easy to implement.
Okay. So any book recommendations then?
Oh, I feel like the titles of these books are a bit extreme. Like I think my favorite one so far for this year has been, it's called I'm Surrounded by Idiots. Okay. I know, but technically, according to the book, like you are the idiot, not actually the people around you. So it's misleading, but you're the one that needs to learn about other people.
Okay, cool, nice. I haven't heard of that one. I don't think so. Might add it to my list. Mm-hmm. Nice. Okay. What motivates you? This feels very like I'm asking you these very deep, direct questions. But like, is there some like what keeps you going? You know, what motivates you to get up every day and keep doing what you're doing?
Yeah, I just want to do well and to be successful, not just for me, but for the people around me. I mean, I want my family to be proud of me and think they're what, really motivate me to not just get up and keep going, but to do my best, put my best foot forward every day at work and everything that I do.
Okay, so Thea, what is some advice that you would give to a young person listening who, maybe let's say a teenager who's trying to figure out their next step in school or choosing a career?
Yeah, the biggest piece of advice I would give is to do what you love. Just, follow your heart, follow what you like to do. I think there's so many people who are just going to work but not enjoying what they're doing. I think there's so much value in loving what you actually do. It will make it easier. It would make life easier. So just do what you love.
Nice. Do you feel like you're doing what you love?
I love what I do.
Okay.
Say that. It honestly, I didn't even know wastewater treatment existed before I started, getting the opportunities or the interviews. And so I think my love found me.
Yeah. No, that's the second time you said that something found you.
Oh.
There's a pattern here. Okay. All right. Nice. And then, so if there's anyone who's listening who wants to reach out to you to, maybe find out more about chemical engineering, about what it is that you do, or they just think you're a cool person and they want to hear from you, what's the best place for them to reach you?
I mean, there are a couple of options. I'm on LinkedIn or just my email address.
Okay. So we'll share that in the notes for anyone who is interested. All right. Thea, thank you so much for your time. I think we had some really good conversation, and I'm sure that people listening have something that they're able to take away and kind of implement in their own life.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was great.
Nice. And to the listeners, thank you for joining us on today's Pathway. Thanks so much for listening. Don't forget to leave a comment wherever you found us today and let us know what you think about this episode. If you liked this one, I think you might like this next one even more. Go check it out and let me know.